God Almighty, the Greek word is pantokrator, which is a very plain, unmistakable word for Almighty. And it's in the New Testament 9 times, 7 of them in the book of Revelation. And God Almighty is very important. In the Old Testament, it's a little trickier. When you see the word Almighty in the Old Testament, it's usually translating the word Shaddai. And Shaddai is a word about which scholars have been arguing on the translation, what it should mean, for a long, long time. I don't think Almighty is a very good translation of it. And yet, the Old Testament is full of statements that say God's power is unlimited. Is anything too hard for the Lord? He says. The first time you see that is when he's talking to Abraham and Sarah. And Sarah laughs at the idea that she, age 90, will have a child. But God's answer is anything too hard for the Lord? And sure enough, she has a child the next year and nurses the child at the age of 90. And Abraham at 100 is following this child. Is anything too hard for the Lord? No. That's very important to remember. He can accomplish his purposes. But it does not mean omnipotence is unfortunately interpreted differently. Omnipotence is interpreted in terms of Greek philosophy. God can do absolutely anything at any time in any way. That's not true. Because the Bible gives us at least 3 very specific things that God cannot do. Cannot do. Anybody like to guess what they are? Anybody have a suggestion, a nomination? What would you say God cannot possibly do? Do you know your scriptures well enough that any of them come to your mind?
Not evil.
He cannot lie. Right? God cannot lie. So don't ever be misled when somebody drags out some obscure passage in the Old Testament where it says, well, God told that prophet to go and lie to the king. No, he didn't. You know, if you read the stuff carefully, you will find that it is all consistent, beginning to end, and God cannot lie. Cannot lie. The Greek is even more specific than that. Because lawyers sometimes can fool you, even though they say, well, I didn't lie. But the word for God in Titus chapter 1, verse 2, is that God is apsudes, which means he is non-deceiving. He does not deceive. He doesn't fool you, directly or indirectly, with sneaky talk or with directly. He does not fool you. He does not deceive. God does not deceive. And there are specifics about that. In the Old Testament, it says God does not do anything without telling his servants, the prophets. And Jesus said to the disciples, everything that I have heard from my Father, I have told you. And he says, I'll come and live in you and be your teacher. No, God is not trying to keep anything from us. How about the verses of secret things of God that won't be known? No. Any of those verses which are brought up out of context are very easily explained. Because the truth about God is that God is love, and from his character flows everything else. And his love guarantees he will not deceive. Here's another thing God can't do. Think, what else can God not do besides lie? God can't lie.
Jesus said, if you turn to me, I will never cast you away. Jesus said, if you turn to me, if you come to me, I will never drive you away.
That's right. Jesus said, if you come to me, I'll not turn you away. God says that many times.
He says he will not do evil that good may come.
He will not do evil that good may come. These are all indirect. Somebody could quarrel with you on these because it just says actually that it's a slander to say of us that we do evil that good may come, because that's not the way we operate. But that's not the way we operate, and God doesn't operate that way either, because we're imitators of God. There are hundreds of things God can't do if you're going to open it up this way, and you're doing very well. And keep doing it, because this is how you're going to discover more and more of what God can't do. But there are some others that just specifically say, he cannot. One is, it says he cannot deny himself. Now that's a very important one, because that relates to my favorite light bulb joke, which I've shared with you before. How many, it started with Californians, how many Californians does it take to change a light bulb? 5. And 1 changes the bulb, and 4 share the experience. That was the original light bulb joke. And from there it went on. Reuben has one of the best. Ask Reuben for his after downstairs. He has a great one. But my favorite turns out to be, how many Zen Buddhist masters does it take to change a light bulb? And the answer is 2. 1 changes the light bulb. 1 does not change the light bulb. Now, God's name for himself is, I am what I am. And the corollary is, I am not what I am not. And God is love. And we just read Jesus saying, I am the way. I'm not a false burden. I am the truth. Not anything deceptive. I am the life. Not anything that diminishes life. Not sickness, not death, not pain. I am the way, the truth, and the life. God cannot deny himself. And the third direct cannot is, God cannot be tempted with evil. There's no way in which